did, Bill is patching a little place that was damaged on this plane when it was from scratching it, so he actually saved a lot of money just for that little bitty busted place right there.
With some sticky drywall patch.
There you go. Drywall patch.
It's actually what do you call it? Fiberglass matting, and you put it on the back, and then when you put your epoxy on it, it makes it extra strong.
And we're hoping his finger's not stuck to it when he gets ready to let go of it, but he's having to hold it to keep it from springing out. And then we have taken some fuel-proof paint, which comes in a can, and we just sprayed a little bit of it out into a bowl, and we'll take a brush and cover that little spot, and it won't look bad at all.
Be like new.
Little tip on this paint though, there's some types of plastic that it will melt. Here's an example. My J3 Piper Cub, the windshield, the type of plastic it is made out of, if you just spray this paint directly on it, it will melt it. Part of the top of that windshield on that had to be painted black, so what I had to do, spray some of it out through a straw into a container and let it set for about an hour and a half. That lets the acids in the paint dissipate. Then you can paint it on that type of plastic and it won't melt it. Funny part is I sprayed it into a Dixie cup. Do not ever spray this into a plastic Dixie cup. That's one of the plastic hits will melt. I was trying to figure out where to set it so it wouldn't get turned over. I almost set it on my wife's white countertops in the kitchen and decided it might get knocked over, so I set it on top of the fridge. Went back to get it, and my cup started out 2 inches tall. When I went in there, it was a ½ inch tall. And I got up there and looked, and I had about a 12-inch pool of black paint on top of our fridge that will never come off. So use a glass baby jar. Butter bowl type plastic is okay. Anyway, just so you know, you don't have to use it very often on plastics, but that particular model I did, and it almost cost my life.
Oh, Zoe.
That's weird, man. Hope it ain't getting bad.
No, I think it's because I put that 6 on the back side. It's awful close.
Okay, now we're gonna excuse me, we're gonna touch up the damaged area with some red paint. I may have to put a couple of coats. That was the only thing damaged on this plane. I think you got a pretty good deal on it, didn't you?
Yeah.
I can't wait to fly this thing. I love flying on the simulator. You guys have, anybody's got a real flight sim, pull this thing up and fly it, man. It is the biggest floater you've ever seen. It floats better than any trainer I've ever seen in my life. Easiest thing to land, and they say it's like that in real life. I've read a lot of reviews on
it. Little Tony.
Little Tony by Great Plains. It's a copy of a Cosmic Minnow. I think Hangar 9 maybe makes it. It's almost identical. Same plane just about. But either one of them are just really sweet little planes. 60 size. What engine you got?
Magnum 61.
Yeah, Magnum 61 two-stroke. We're putting in this thing. We are done with the wing. Almost done with this patchwork on the fuselage. We'll let the paint dry good, and then the next session we'll probably put the tail feathers on it and then start putting the electronics in it. Bill's fitting his wing where we patched that little damaged area on the fiberglass fuselage to make sure it's going to fit up flush and everything without binding anything. So there's our checkering on the bottom of the wing. Looks nice. Now, how's it look, Bill? Gonna work?
Well,
you might have to put the screws in it.
Yeah, I'll have to put the screws in it and tell. I think so.
Okay. We are back on the Little Tony. been a couple weeks since we've got to work on anything. We just got through the tail section. We actually forgot to turn the camera on, but anyway. Bill and I have a very big complaint to Great Plains. I have a good mind to call them and tell them how I feel about this. This book says to, well, first of all, this is a fiberglass fuselage. It says to thin CA the stab in. There's no way you can thin CA this stab in there. There's too much gap for it to flow. We made a mess out of things down here.
And even where the small gap is,
even where the small gap in, it does not work. There is a layer of thin ply inside this fiberglass. There's no reason why you couldn't do this with epoxy, which my first gut instinct was to do that, and we decided to go with this. But anyway, bad mistake. If you buy this plane, epoxy with 30-minute epoxy or stab in. Do not use CA. Alright, we are going to move on to the
we did the tail wheel.
Oh yeah, we got the tail wheel done. We're fixing to put the elevator halves on and the rudder.
Rear
Be
section.
back in just a minute.
Okay, we're CA-ing the elevator hinges in. We cleaned out our holes in both edges with a razor knife, X-Acto knife. Put our CA hinges in.
Top part, we'll turn it on. Turn it over, I mean.
I usually say what, 6 drops?
6, 8 drops, yeah.
Yeah,
Just
per side.
Just watch it. You can watch it wick up in there real good. Wiggle it a little bit, make sure. Dadgummit. Wrong angle there. Stuff will come out real fast.
Alright.
I got that. Now,
About ready to stick the rudder up.
We're going to test. Well, I know it already fits.
Test-
Already test fit.
Test fit.
Yeah, we're good. Now what we got to do is mix up a little bit of epoxy to put on the
Tail wheel stab piece, I guess.
Nylon.
Little nylon
bushing
piece
or whatever
there.
they
You
call
have
it,
to
yeah.
use epoxy instead of CA for some reason.
Well, it just doesn't hold that very well. So
Okay.
we'll do that. Stick that in there, and then we'll CA the hinges.
Great. Okay. Started working on the landing gear. Landing gear. Wheels. Wheel pants. Now we're cutting off the wheel. What do they call those? Wheel bolts?
Yeah, axles.
Axles. Wheel axles. They're too long. We have to cut them off, and then we put a little flat spot on them so you can use a set screw on your wheel collar. As you can see, never use eye protection.
It's really gonna work good, honey.
And we have landing gear.
Yeah, cool.
I think that one's really gonna work good. I mean, it fills up quick and
It's okay. I had a little problem with one of the blind nuts. Felt like it cross-threaded. We pulled it out and threaded it through the back side of the blind nut and put it back in. It worked for us. Evidently the blind nuts have a flat side on these. But everything went on pretty good, and we have landing gear. I guess we're ready to go
We
to
can take it outside and roll it around now.
the engine. Start trying to mount the engine. And that's it. Okay, tell them what we did here.
This particular plane came with a pattern in your manual that you cut out, and it has your cross lines and your holes for your motor mount. You mark the lines that they've already started with a Sharpie. Line this up, tape it down, and then drill through your paper, and that way your motor mount holes should be perfect. And now we got to put the blind nuts in. Excuse me. A lot of your ARF kits come with these already installed, but this particular one didn't, so they're going to make us work for it.
A 440 rod with a nut.
And you put that through here. We will take the paper off, of course. And then I'll stick this in from the inside of the plane So I'll just go ahead and do that.
Pull them enough to stick into the wood, hopefully.
Let's see if I can. How about the one I can see right there at the top? Oh, there you go, Bill.
Alright.
Get it in the hole. Now, that should be stuck enough. Let's get this off of here.